Yo, we're back with another Sweet Tomatoes cast, but this is more right before we properly titled the SchoolCast.
The SchoolCast.
I was inspired by some procrastinators podcast where they just talk about a specific topic. Was school sucks or procrastinators?
Yeah,
that was more talking about college though. We're not talking.
They were just talking about how. Yeah.
We're not talking at all about college. This is going to be elementary, middle, and high school. 12 and under?
12th grade and under.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so elementary, middle, and high school. If you're not interested, that's all we're going to be talking about this time.
We're pretty much talking about, compulsory education.
Compulsory education, and just stories in general, and there's things that need to be improved about the school system. We're going to be eating. I'm starving. So, how should we, start? Because eventually I'm going to get to how I think, my version of the perfect school system. We should save that. We should just talk first.
We can talk about our schooling, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
so Josh and I met through going to the same middle school? Lower school. Elementary school. And, what grade were we in? 3rd? 4th?
We met in 3rd.
We met in 3rd grade, and then Josh left that school at 5th grade. 6th. Wait, going into 6th?
Going into 6th.
Yeah, Josh left after 5th, going into 6th grade. And we continued to be, acquaintances until we ended up at high school together. We went to a great high school, but we got really lucky. Most people did not end up at a good school.
Yeah. So,
how did we meet?
I want to do a general. Okay, how we met. I remember this vividly. We met because I was in 3rd grade. I was big into Nintendo GameCube games at the time. Zach's talking about I know how you can play as Master Hand in Super Smash Bros. He was right. I was wrong. But I'm bullshit. Whatever I would say in 3rd grade, you can't play as Master Hand. He's
totally
try me. And then we became friends, and we started talking about it. Literally, all of our conversations beginning were you knowing things that I didn't know about video games and me getting upset.
And this continues to be true up until this day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding.
It does, though. There's a new Portal game.
Oh my god, there's a new Portal game. I'm going to cry. I've never played any Portal games, but this is the one, man. I'm so happy.
Don't watch that vlog.
Don't watch Amateur Idiot.
Pretty much the whole gist of that is I was trying to be put on I don't know, I was trying to look better in the eyes of the vlog, the viewers, than I actually am.
What do you mean?
Well, I was trying to look like a bigger fan than I actually was. And to add to that, I got it wrong. So it's it's a double whammy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just giving you shit because you were wrong, but there's nothing wrong with being.
I like Portal as a franchise, and I like watching stuff on it. I've never I played half of Portal 1, but I've never physically
Portal
played
discussion
it.
For another cast. I got a lot of things to say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we went to a Jewish day school
for elementary school. I want to give a brief overview of how our high school went, then we can go into specifics. Then I left. He stayed at the same school for middle school. And I didn't. I left and went to a pretty much public, generic middle school. And then high school. I started off at this place. Zach ended up there after 2 years at the same elementary middle school for high school. I convinced him to come over. How the high school worked is you do 1 year of hard, intense work, hours all day, all night work. So you can just start college in 10th grade pretty much. You go over to the university. You just take all your classes there with all the other college students, and that's it. That's for instead of high school, and you get your high school requirements. Perfect school. 10 out of 10. I don't even get mad about the first year, even though it's probably the worst year of my life. I don't even get mad about it.
Yeah, I really love that school. You okay?
I ate a rotten tomato.
Oh, ew.
I might throw up. Oh my.
Go to the
Imagine
bathroom,
the worst taste you can imagine, but the juice of it squirts out.
Stop. Alright, let's get back into this.
I'm not eating any of these tomatoes.
Yeah, don't. I wouldn't. Not after that one.
And this place is called Sweet Tomatoes, too. I don't know. So, Zach, I convinced him to come later. So he didn't have to do the hard year.
I went to a convention at this school, and you guys walked me through like a normal day.
Yeah.
And I was just like so enthralled, and I needed to leave my other school because I was going to fail if I continued another year. Mm-hmm. So I was considering like just going to a public school.
Yeah.
But I went to this school. I'm like, wow, I need to go here, but it's really hard to get in. And so I applied and I got in, and the rest is history. Then we started the vlog.
So, the way the this really, I don't know how other school systems work, but the way the American school system is set up is fundamentally flawed from the setup, in my opinion. Just the setup as a whole. Not necessarily the school or the experiences you have there. There's a fundamental, major flaw in the way it's set up.
I agree, but I don't know if we agree on the ways that it's wrong. But go ahead, detail.
So I feel like I can explain. So there's such a thing I like to believe in as compulsory education.
That's a real thing.
But when you're in elementary, and I'd say even middle school, you don't question going to school. You don't question it. It's just when you learn your basic education.
Yeah, compulsory is like. If you don't know what compulsory education is, it's what you legally need to do, which in the U.S. is up to 10th grade, I believe.
But my thing is that going to school, elementary, and I'd go as far as middle school is fine. But here's how you go to elementary school like it is now. You need that. That's necessary. No matter how much it will suck for you, it's necessary. You go to middle school. You can keep, I'd say, 3 years of middle school. Add one more year onto middle school called college prep. And it's which they don't teach you classes. They teach you how to, maybe even a semester, not even the whole year, where they teach you how to function in like a college-like environment. Then instead of going to high school, you go into a thing called a gen eds, in which you do, I don't necessarily 4 years, 3 or 4 years, however long high school would be, just getting your gen eds out of the way. So then when the time you'd start college, it's all major specific.
But you can start taking classes. Essentially, we want everyone to do what we did for high school. We want there to be a hard year of prep right out of middle school, and then you go straight into college, right? People say it's too young for college,
but
right?
If that's the way the system works, it's not, because that's the way everyone knows.
And I think I would have said that too, but we have done it. I see people, there's pretty much 100 people that go through that school every year that do it.
They're not all like us. It's 2 minutes of medicine doctor.
2 minutes of medicine doctor is
okay.
Over the intercom.
They're not all people like us. There's a variety of different kinds of people at this program. All types of people from all walks of life. And they all succeeded. Most of them.
Exactly. I feel that anyone can do this if you have the right attitude to.
If you have the right attitude and experience. And obviously there's always going to be people that have the wrong attitude. But I'd say from experience and from knowing people who did the traditional route and were miserable, I'd say I can give a valid thing that's my stance on it. However, there's also the scenario that you always have to contrast. Alberto, he loved high school. However, I feel like he would have also loved it just as much, if not more, if he did our program too.
I think Alberto's school only looks like a jail, which it does. It's got cell blocks and stuff, but it seems like a normal high school. It just has a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he enjoyed it, but I think he probably would have
I think he found the right people.
Yeah, definitely. So,
but I think he also would have enjoyed our program.
Yeah. So I agree with Josh's idea, but I think there also needs to be some reformatting of middle school. Right? Like, I had such a bad time in middle school.
Middle school was probably the worst 3 years of my life. It was horrible. I went to a traditional middle school. I think my main gripes with middle school. My main gripes with middle school, I'd say, probably come in more of the discipline department than the education department. But you go first.
So, I feel like I've repressed most of my middle school memory, but like, the period from like 6th to 8th grade, or 6th to like the second half of 8th grade was like probably the worst time in my life. I agree. Like, it's just... Here's something that we should stop doing, is, telling kids that they're geniuses.
Oh.
And, like, saying, oh, you passed your 4th grade math test with 100, you must be a prodigy. Like,
there should be no advanced or gifted classes before you get to college. There should just be, everyone has to take the same class. If it's too easy for you, great. If it's too
easy for you, your reward is not having to do as much.
If it's hard for you, also great. You'll learn what you need to know.
I think this is what like No Child Left Behind tried to do. But in like my ideal scenario, it'd be like everyone. You're allowed to get ahead, and after you get ahead, your reward is, like understanding everything. And no one gets left behind, or no one goes like super far ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everyone's like automatically passed. If you don't understand the material, you get more teaching, and if you do understand the material, you need less teaching, but you can do more.
Exactly.
Yes. I'd also like to end. My point in like the in like praising people, I'd like to end the idea of smart and dumb kids, because fuck that, that's not real.
It doesn't exist. It's a construct.
Well, there's people who are inherently like more in tune to learning stuff, and there's people who are like, who like are born with like photographic memories.
You shouldn't,
and are just
but you shouldn't classify someone based on something they're born with.
But this is not like the thing that makes people like good at school or good at life or employable. The thing that makes people like actually be legitimately smart and employable and like legitimately good at school is being able to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Josh, you're a very hard worker.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that compliment.
Huh? There are people in my life who I see they are very, very hard workers. I'm jealous of them.
I'd say I wouldn't even classify Alberto as a hard worker when he puts his mind to it.
Yeah, I've seen Alberto like really care about.
If he knows he needs to do something and he cracks down, he's very hard. But overall, I'd say he's with like work and stuff. I say he's lazy. But when he knows he needs to do something or really wants to do something, he'll crack down and do it. Like, it's not like...
The people who are legitimately smart coming out of the school system are the ones who are able to, sit down and like, study something, or sit down and learn something.
Sit down
and do a project.
Yeah.
Right? Like, those are the people I envy for, like, getting, something practical out of the school system. I was regarded as like a good student, and I still sort of am, but it's really only because I'm good at taking tests. Right? I have a horrible work ethic, and I hate doing work.
And you see, I'm the exact opposite. I have a strong work ethic. I work really hard for things, but I am a terrible tester.
Yeah, and I think Josh is definitely the much smarter one out of the bunch.
I wouldn't say you're smarter. I'd say we're probably on equal footing.
So the school system sees like probably me over you because I'm good at taking tests, but I'm bad at working. But then like when you actually work on something, Like the workforce sees you as much more valuable than me.
I guess I get what you're saying.
I'm saying smart is not important. It exists, but it's not important. The important part is working hard and studying. Like I don't study for things. That's something I don't do. I never sit down and study for a test because I found if I sit down and study for, like 6 hours or something, I can get an A, or I can go into it cold, not study at all, and have that 6 hours to myself and get a B. And a B is passing, so why not, right?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. If I have a test coming up, I study my ass off.
And I think Josh is the
I think
much smarter.
that was it. That was the one time I punched Albert.
What?
What happened was we both took the same test, and I was talking about how hard I studied for it and everything, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't study at all." So I'm like, "Oh," he's like, "I didn't study at all. I know shit." And I studied like hours, days, weeks, probably even. And then I go in, I get like back then, what an F is like today, it was like a C then. So I got a C, he got an A. And he was just bashing me about it the entire time. And all of a sudden I just snapped and punched Albert in the face. Half an hour later we were fine. It's not like a big deal. We're still like
I'd punch Alberto in the face if he said something like that.
He just kept on going too. And he kept on telling other people. Like he's like, "Hey, this is what happened."
Yeah, I wouldn't brag about doing well on a test that I didn't study for.
Yeah.
But like, I legitimately don't study for things, and it's just.
I will get my main middle school reform. I will get back to when I get back from getting more food.
I'm going to talk about. Seriously, down with this encouraging like child prodigies and like, oh, you're really good at math, or you're really good at English. Like, no, you're good at working hard. If you can work hard, anyone who has this ability to work hard and study hard for something is a genius at any skill, instead of just focusing on one. I don't know, you can focus on one for your career and your major in college. You don't want to be focusing on one thing for your entire life because you get dumb at other things. We should really be encouraging this idea of like hard work being the most important piece of school, because it is. And standardized tests don't reflect that. And as much as I selfishly like everything to be standardized tests because they're easy to me, I don't think that just throw this soup everywhere.
I filled a good top layer. Okay, they have.
He came back with half a bowl.
This is sriracha udon noodle soup.
Nice.
Sounds so good. I'm gonna try it right now. Taste test. What were we talking about?
I was just talking about how standardized tests don't really reflect like.
I could talk. Ew.
No, like it.
No. I could talk hours about how standardized tests should not exist, but no one can come up with anything better. I can't come up with anything better than the standardized test, so it's gonna exist. There's nothing we can do about it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know anything better than. I mean, like.
Standardized tests are bad, but
grades are better than standardized tests. Not by much.
But they need something else, because what if two people have the exact same grades? You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna just eat the noodles.
Fuck that. The college bubble is gonna pop eventually.
What, the bubble that you need to go to college for anything?
Yeah.
I think so.
Because everyone's gonna have it, and they're gonna be like, well, this is worthless. And people are gonna, like stop
going.
But
I'm also the kind of person that I didn't just think I needed to go. Like, I wanted to go to college.
If I could just go straight into working, I really hate school. And I really hate, I
kind of wanted the college experience, which I did get.
You got the college experience, and they're telling you they don't have any of your credits. And
I got the college experience. I am ready to leave college. I still have a year left, but I am oh my god, so ready to just leave college and get out of the workforce. Because this is a whole nother podcast. I fully admit that I fucked up my college experience, kind of. But, whatever.
How?
That's a whole nother podcast.
What do you mean?
I kind of settled with things, like I'll I made these friends, so these are my friends for now. No, like, didn't try to make other friends. Quit clubs because they were quitting clubs. Did things because they were doing them, you know what I mean? And
you got a couple years left. You can always fix it.
I have a year left, and also right now I'm going to a completely different place for a semester, so it's going to be awesome.
I feel like maybe I'll look back and I'll be like, I fucked up my college experience because I didn't do the college things. I didn't like.
Yeah, but did you want to do the college things?
No, I really didn't.
Yeah, so then.
But I don't know. I always have that feeling like I'll look back. I'll be like, why didn't I party? Why didn't I like do all this stuff?
Partying is the most overrated thing ever. You want to know what's so much nicer than partying? Sitting with like 2 or 3 really good friends and just drinking together.
Or better yet, just not drinking anything and just having a good time with friends.
Like
without spending ridiculous amount of money.
That night the other night when we hung out with Joe and Connor, we were just talking for hours. That beats partying any day.
Of course.
And I'm not saying partying isn't fun. It can be fun if you're with friends. It's not fun when you're alone.
Essentially, like, yeah. This applies to anything in general, but also in relation to drinking. Like, just, like, find what you're comfortable with and just do it. Like, don't care what anyone else says.
I'm not eating that soup.
What are you gonna... Like... So... Yeah, I found what I enjoy doing, which is not interacting with anyone at my school and just making friends outside of it. So I don't... Eventually this is, like, I think sometimes will it come back and bite me in the ass? Where I'm like, I go to it's like a school reunion and I don't know anyone.
Why would you go to a school reunion?
I don't know. But, like, people will be, like, hanging out with their college friends and be like...
But if you're making friends from a different place at the same time and hang out with them just as much as you would with college friends, does it matter if they're not from the college? If you, let's say you find...
In my eyes,
let's say if you find
no.
who's going to be your best man. When you get married, if you do get married. Let's say you find that, and you find it from the friends that aren't from college. Does it make a difference? Mm-hmm. That's just a specific example.
Well, first off, I'm not getting married. And second off...
You never know.
No, that's the whole thing. I'm not getting married, so... And you'd probably be my best man anyway.
I don't know. I'd literally have to make you and Alberto, like, fight to the death. Unless I meet someone else that I'm, like...
I mean, you could just have both of us, right? And be the best men. But, like...
You'll be the bridesmaid.
I can be the bridesmaid, sure, whatever.
Oh, no, it's the maid of honor.
Maid of honor. Bridesmaids is a movie.
It is. It's also the group of bridesmaids that are at any wedding.
Yeah, but it's also a movie.
They were just talking about, they were making a joke about that on the Restricted podcast I was just listening to.
Really?
Like, they were saying, like, he was giving an example, and he needed a movie for an example of how you can search for something. And he did bridesmaids and said bridesmaids. Gus said bridesmaids while looking into Barbara's eyes. And she's like, why'd you look at me when you said that? and I was like, because you're a girl. And then the entire time she was pissed off, and he kept on using bridesmaids as an example throughout the entire podcast.
Anyway, I did make my first... I made my friend who is probably going to be the first wedding I'm invited to. Like, that's... Like, outside of family. Like, I made the friend who is going to invite me to their wedding. I think.
Okay.
It's a little weird, but I don't... These are, like... I made some really close friends.
I gotta invite the Shahar to my wedding.
The Shahar?
Like, I think that would count as my friend that I made at college that I would invite to my wedding.
No, I mean, someone who's going to invite me to their wedding. Like,
yeah, that's
soon.
True.
Probably the first.
Oh, he's getting married?
Eventually.
Oh, is it, like, how old is he?
24 or something?
Okay.
All my friends are older than me.
I feel like we've, like, gotten, like, we said we weren't going to talk about college, now all we're talking about is college.
It's part of school.
Whatever.
Like, we're just talking about how great college can be, but you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
and
college,
you really can't do that in middle school.
With college, because of its style, you can take any path, the path that's perfect for you. No matter what you do, no matter what classes you're taking, you can take the path that's perfect for you. And that's what's so great about college. You cannot do that in any other form of school before that.
The only issue is that it costs a fuckload of money.
That's another thing.
And you have to go if you want a good job.
Meme that needs to die. If college isn't going to be necessary, it shouldn't be cost money. It should be like high school, middle school, elementary school. It's necessary to get a job. It shouldn't be. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then
it shouldn't be as expensive as it is. Like the school we went to, where we went to college, was $500 a year, and
that was the high school we're referring to.
Yeah, the high school. But we went to college, and it was $500 to go to the college for a year, just for like administrative fees, and that's totally reasonable. It's not tens of thousands every semester.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much discussed the things. But what I was going to talk about before I went up to get food was I was going to talk about back with middle school specifically, and this will apply to the elementary school, I guess, too. But the experiences I had relating to this subject matter is middle school. And the thing I think needs to change, I definitely agree with your point, that I think needs to change is the disciplinary system. And there needs to be a disciplinary system, obviously. That's an obvious statement, or else there'd be chaos. So obviously, if someone does something shitty, they gotta get reprimanded for it. So you can keep your punishment and stuff. The thing that needs to die is the no tolerance policy, because by all means
you got fucked over by that so much.
By all means, no tolerance policy is
zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance policy is just a complete train wreck disaster. It literally is so the vice principals don't have to think. So they don't have to think, and they don't have to have a guilty conscience. If they have this policy, they can just be like, oh, I don't have to think about this case, I don't have to judge it fairly, I can just do this.
And not only that, because you get punished for being a victim, like,
you get screwed up later, you can't get into college.
Yeah, if someone beats you up, if someone picks a fight with you,
you have to stand there.
If you don't do anything, you still get in trouble. You are encouraged to fight back because you will get in the same trouble that you will otherwise. It encourages violence.
Yeah.
It's geniusly dumb. And I hate everything about it. I just don't understand
how a system this dumb could exist. So I'm going to tell a little story, no names, no things.
I think I know this story.
Yeah. So I'm not going to get the details. Long story short, someone started beating me up. And I pushed them off of me. I got a worse punishment than he did. And the thing is, my education was, which I am at a school to learn, my education was disrupted because of this. They put me in in-school suspension, and I missed classes for a day and a half. I missed classes, and I missed a test and had to make up a test. And I missed classes for a day and a half so I could sit there and stare at a wall. I didn't learn anything from it because I was in the right the entire time. So I missed a day and a half's worth of education, fell behind in all my classes, only for me to sit and stare at a wall.
Because you got beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay.
And that might be just my singular experience, but I know someone literally, I know, he ended up being an asshole, but that's beside the fact. Someone took his arm and broke it. That person received zero consequences. The person with the broken arm, he probably got some sort of consequence, I assume. The person with the broken arm got a referral on their permanent record and got a out-of-school suspension.
Is permanent record like a real thing? Like, middle schools and high schools see it, but no one past that sees it.
No one. I think colleges will see your high school record. Colleges cannot see your middle school record.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, jobs can't see your middle and high school record, obviously. But
they can only see your arrest record.
I think the most essential story of how flawed the system is. This might have been a singular incident with a singular principal, but this happened to Alberto. And he told me about this story. In 6th grade, something happened, I don't know. Alberto might have been being an asshole, that's beside the fact. Someone started assaulting Alberto. I guess that's the best way to do it. and
viciously
Albert-
rubbing his throat.
Yeah. No. So Alberto did not do anything. He didn't fight back, and he reported it. Both of them get called in the principal's office at the same time, and they both go in. The vice principal says to Alberto, "This kid would not do anything to you." He's like, "Well, he did. I can call in people right now to tell you exactly what happened." And I can just see Rocco saying that. It's like I can
Rocco but not Rocco as a child, just Rocco
like
as
now,
a normal person.
I could just call in people to tell you exactly what happened. And the principal's like, "That won't be necessary." And Alberto thinks, "Okay." He's like, "If you do not admit that you attacked him and that he did nothing wrong, you will get a referral. If you admit, you will be free to go." And Alberto's like, "Why would I admit that? That's not true." And he's like, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you a referral. And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Fine." And he's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna say it's not truthful." But then he's like, "Okay, fine." And Alberto got to go, and so did the other guy. And see, I always think, what if that was just my school and thing? But I hear stories from other schools that are just as dumb and similar to that.
At one point, I was beaten up, or I was attacked, or
Yeah.
and I was told I was getting a referral, and I didn't fight back or anything. I just got so what happened was I got thrown against a music stand.
By who? Well, you can't talk about that. Yeah. Well, tell me later.
I'm gonna mouth it.
Yeah. Somewhere happened to be with this.
Someone who's who's an acquaintance now.
Yeah.
He's actually a pretty nice person now.
He's mature.
Yeah. I definitely grew up. This was in middle school, and I was the only way I got out of it was I faked an injury. I just faked being really hurt, even though I was minor.
And this is funny to me. I'm sorry.
I didn't get very hurt. But I had to limp all the way across the school, just to avoid getting a referral. That happens. I don't know.
So yeah. I've been thinking long and hard about an alternative to the zero tolerance policy, and then it just came to me. It's that you just have a fucking normal court, normal kind of court style kind of case. You have people that were there, witnesses. You have evidence. Obviously, people could lie, but that happens in real life too. There's nothing you can do to avoid human lying and stuff. But you have a normal court case. You have judges and stuff that are you have to have non-biased judges, aka people that were not there, and people that just are not even. And then you just go through it and you do it, and you know what happens? It happens. Whatever. Hopefully, it comes out the right answer. There's always people that even though they're innocent, get in trouble. But that's how court works. There's no other way to do it. So why don't you do that instead of if someone happened to be in the presence of an attack, even if they were being attacked, because it's in that circle, they immediately get put.
So I fundamentally disagree with the idea of non-government courts, because they can get
not exactly a court.
Again, non-government courts, college courts and stuff, get really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
They're so easy to be
You're right. You won't,
because you can't get an unbiased jury. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
You can't call in an unbiased jury like you can in a U.S. court, or any other country's actual judicial courts. So what needs to happen is just bring in anyone who was there. They're all kids, and principals are adults. Adults. Principals are adults, hopefully. And
they don't act like it.
And what you do is you call in everyone who saw something, you hear what they have to say.
Every single person.
Yes, and then if it's clearly someone was guilty, just do innocent until proven guilty. And just try to figure out what actually happened,
mm-hmm.
which is what most normal schools do when there's no zero tolerance. Is they just figure out what happened by asking.
I think all the middle schools in our county had a zero tolerance, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't know, but anyway, I'm gonna go get more food and water. Keep them entertained.
Okay. I actually went through a pretty rough period in my life, and towards like the end of middle school, before high school started, where I was like getting into fights and stuff, and it was rough. And I'm glad that none of it's on my record now, but sometimes people just go through rough points in their life in middle school, and it's unfair to permanently punish them when kids, feel like everything is the world at that point, right? Well, you agree with me at home. Like, when you're that age, you think everything is like the entire world as it's going to be forever. So punishments hold a lot more bearing, even if they're not permanent. It just seems weird to punish someone for years to come when they're also 10 and going through puberty and having all these hormones. And also getting beat up is not something that you should punish. Punish the person doing the beating, another person being beat up. I feel really bad for Josh's whole situation. Josh spilled more soup. He's coming back.
I just realized how crazy we look. You're sitting here talking to ourselves.
I don't care. Yeah, just sit down and talking to this phone with me. Sit not anymore.
Okay, so what were you saying at this exact moment?
I was talking about how kids don't deserve to be permanently punished for things that they do when they're, hormonal, dumb teenagers.
If they murder someone, it's different, but
if someone who is under 13 murders someone, it's not an issue of, it's an issue of something is wrong with how this kid was raised, and that can be fixed, generally.
Or it's an accident.
Right?
Stickers aren't meant to stay forever. Stickers only stay for a little while, and if you
that's a tough situation. That's a really tough situation to deal with, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I'm talking about getting in fights with other 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
It happens because everyone is dumb and hopped up on testosterone. And, there's cliques and everyone's like, I can't, be friends with these people, middle school stuff. It happens, everyone goes through it.
Yeah.
And temporary punishments, things when you're that age seem much bigger than they actually are. So you're doing
a school tried to give me a referral now. I'd be like, okay. It's funny. Back then, that feels like getting arrested.
Yeah, it feels like it's the end of the world. So just do that, and just I think referrals are a bit of a dumb. As long as they're not permanent, I think referrals you did something bad, but it's not bad enough for severe punishment, so don't do it again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Suspension doesn't really make sense as it causes you to go back behind on your classes. Detention, I think that really works. I think just putting a kid in a room with their mind and nothing to entertain them is the worst punishment for for a teenager, right?
Especially if you get double detention.
Triple detention. and then if you tell the I got double detention once for saying baby powder to the principal. I told him to fuck off, and he gave me double detention. Fuck Mr. Howard.
That's double detention. Okay.
If you like a very serious commentary on the school punishment system, go watch Freddy's Gay Games. Land him in double detention.
He literally got double detention for being too gay.
How can you be too gay? But that episode of iCarly really is relevant.
It is.
Where it's like Gibby gets a detention for being too Gibby. Right? He's just being himself, and he gets in trouble because bureaucracy has gone crazy, and adults are no better than children in the right setting or in the wrong setting.
In a elementary or middle school, the bureaucratic adults may as well be children.
I agree. That's what bureaucracy does to people.
What else was I gonna say? We have a lot more points we can talk about probably.
Like what?
I think we haven't really told many stories, but
I've repressed so much of my middle school career. Like, I don't really have.
me too. I've done
I mean,
it with
I have
elementary
stories.
school because I feel like elementary school was probably a lot worse than I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it is, because occasionally I have glimpses of memories of things that I forgot that were terrible. But I'd say middle school was terrible. Only positive about middle school is that all the classes except for math were like joke easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I met Alberto in middle school. We played like through a bunch of games on the DSs on the bus. That was the great memories in middle school. But then there's also the shit.
So, I got something to talk about. So, a fundamental thing wrong with my schooling was
This is a school I went to for elementary school.
They started teaching us a language, starting with kindergarten, pretty much, and it continued all the way until 12th grade.
This language is Hebrew.
This language is Hebrew, because I went to a Jewish school, and I essentially fell behind in, 5th grade, because I got put in,
I got tutoring
behind
for
class.
Hebrew in 5th grade, and it never mattered ever again.
Yeah. But essentially, I wanted to be in a higher class, and they had, 3 levels of classes, whereas, the highest one, which is people
Which
who,
is dumb in itself. That's the thing we just talked about
it's
before.
horrible, because I was placed in a lower class, I fell behind on this for the rest of my life. Essentially, I just kept falling behind because we were either repeating material or we were doing material I never, I couldn't understand because I didn't do stuff before it. And just due to, some, fundamental, misunderstanding of how life, or how, teaching a language works, I essentially got to high school without knowing this language besides, basic vocabulary. And I still know the basic, vocabulary, but...
And guess what? It's not a language that's used often, so it doesn't
It's
matter.
used in one country, sometimes.
And a religious community in many.
Yeah, and then I get to high school, and all of a sudden another class starts requiring the language, which is Jewish study, starts requiring knowing Hebrew, and everyone else knows it, and somehow some of us in essentially I fell to the super remedial class where I was learning with people younger than me, and we were being taught like very small children in high school. This is in 10th grade, and we essentially did nothing. It was you remember the remedial English class in Drake and Josh?
Yes.
Where the teacher's tied up on the
like a pendulum.
and everyone's sitting around and doing nothing. That was that class. We did nothing. We learned absolutely nothing for a year and a half.
Speaking of being treated like a child, I remember, yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Speaking of being treated like a child, I just remember, because we know you've heard about our high school program where we went to college. So I was pretty much the equivalent of 3 years into regular college education when I had to go to orientation that was mostly for freshmen, the people that had never done college before, which is fine. I had to do it because I was going to start as a freshman at a real college, right? So that's fine. We're in a huge lecture hall. Probably a couple hundred people in this lecture hall being lectured about the stuff that that was a useless. I'm not gonna get into that. It was a useless 2 days, but we were being lectured about it. I had to go to the bathroom, so I'm in a giant lecture hall for college. I get up and go to the bathroom. Everyone turns and looks at me, and the professor at the front of the class was like, "What do you think you're doing?" And I'm like, "I'm going to the bathroom."
Yeah, this is an issue of us being college students when everyone else is still being high school students in their minds.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom, and he's like, oh, I guess we'll have to take a break for everyone here because this person has to go to the bathroom. I just felt like saying, fuck you, and leaving.
You should have been like, but I'm just, like...
So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to the bathroom, and then I went to the bathroom and came back, and they resumed the lecture.
I love how,
so everyone was so afraid. People probably had to take a piss. It was like a 3-hour lecture on useless stuff.
If I got like yelled at by like high school students for getting up.
Well, it was a professor. It wasn't a high school student.
But why would the professor in like a college?
She might have been. I don't think she was actually a professor. I think she might have worked at the school, like in the bureaucracy or something.
But this is no one. If you ask to go to the bathroom, you will be like laughed at.
You get the opposite reaction if you do ask. You get the same reaction if you do ask in normal college classes. If you're younger than college, that's how it works. If you have to go to the bathroom, even if it's a small class, you just get up and go. There's no. If you ask, you will be like ridiculed. Because that's how life should work. We're not.
Right. This is not something we can control. This is something that every single person has to do, and some people abuse it, but it doesn't matter.
Another thing about lower school, even if people abuse it, can I go to the bathroom? Teacher says no, and then you're just like sitting there having to go to the bathroom.
No. What you have to do is you essentially just have to emasculate yourself, or I don't know if emasculate's the right word because girls have to do it too, but you essentially have to like deprave yourself. You got to be like, it's an emergency. And they go, are you sure? You go, yes, I'm going to piss myself if I don't leave right now.
Thank
you. And then you have to say this like in front of the class, and then they let you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? And you go, I'm literally going to shit on the floor if you don't let me go. And they go, okay, you can go. I hate.
I just remember time at Time Climb. Best memories coming back. Yeah. While I was in gym, someone took my regular uniform and
put it in the sink, right? Oh, put it in the toilet.
I think they put it in a pee-filled toilet, then put it back. And I didn't know who it was at the time. We eventually ended up warning it to the principal, but I'll get to that. So I get back. My clothes are covered in piss water. I'm like, shit, what do I do?
I remember that day. I was there.
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? I didn't know what to do. I was panicking. My class is about to start. I would get in trouble. So I panicked. I put the clothes on. I went back to class, and I got yelled at for wearing wet clothes, and I got yelled at for being late to class. Even though I explained the entire situation. And then I told my mom what happened. She reported it to the principal. And, principal says we will stop at nothing to find the culprit. Does nothing.
Did you find out?
No.
Wow. It wasn't me, by the way.
Every time we'd run into the principal, she'd be like, oh, we haven't found them yet, but we're still looking.
I had the same thing happen to my clothes. Someone put them in...
I think I know who it was, but can't prove it. Same person.
Oh, same... Okay.
I assume, right?
Yeah.
You have to assume
Who else would do that, really? Anyway, like, I had the same thing happen where... But mine was, like, put in a sink, I believe, and the water was turned on.
Sink's not that bad.
Yeah, and I told someone, and they reported, and they're like, well, just wear your gym clothes. And it was fine. It was not
that was in 5th grade, so the coach we had, he was gone. The second we went back to go train, he was gone. There was no adults there. You know that coach.
He assaulted me with a highlighter. But, he threw it at my head, and it hurt.
That's hilarious.
I wanted to be a dick, so I acted like it really, really hurt. I just watched
the Seinfeld episode with George's PE coach, where he reported the PE coach to the principal because the PE coach was treating him horribly, and then the PE coach got fired and became homeless, and he found him on the street one day as an adult. He felt so bad about it. And how he was walking out of the library and the principal grabs his leg and he's like, oh! He's like, stop.
The gym teacher grabs his leg?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The homeless guy who's been homeless for 20 years. But it was so
Are
funny.
you George Costanza?
No, he couldn't. He was speaking gibberish.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You recognized him?
I'm going.
Okay. I gotta get some stuff too. So.
Oh, you can go first.
Oh okay.
I've gotten a bunch of stuff.
I'll get some bread.
I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. So, I'm trying to think of a specific thing to discuss more about school. Like I said, elementary school is pretty fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. Other than the system where the advanced gifted, everyone should be in the same classes up until college. It's ridiculous. But I'm trying to think standardized testing, honestly. And then there's the issue.
I have done nothing but butter bread for 12 hours.
We're back.
Welcome back. Splitting up the classes into gifted and not gifted is dumb, and it puts people behind for the rest of their life by being in a
because if they get into
class.
an advanced and then accidentally get back, if they're in advanced and they get back to a regular and then they go back to advanced, they're fucked because they missed that year in the middle of stuff.
Well,
and it also works the other way around.
I got put behind in a language, and I became behind in that language for the rest of my life. I will never, have the proficiency.
My mom works at the high school, and she told me about something yesterday. And I don't know how this could happen. This would be completely solved if everyone had to take the same classes. But this is a high school which also shouldn't exist, according to our theory. But this situation was that over 100 people in my mom's department specifically came in with their schedules being wrong. They got picked up their schedules yesterday.
Seriously?
Over 100 people in my mom's specific department.
Oh my god. What?
I'd say, no, because I remember in middle school this happened too. I'd say at least 50% of schedules are incorrect. How could you mess up like that? I just don't get it. How could that happen? And that would be completely resolved if you had the same school as choice movie.
Right,
But I don't understand. I just imagine someone, looking at every student like a number, which they probably do, and just being like, there's no consequence for me if I do this, so I'm just going to put, I don't know what to fit here, I don't want to do basic math, I'm just going to put something in there. That's exactly what has to happen, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I fell behind in language and essentially was unable to complete high school there because I was so far behind, and I could not catch up because my other class, which required it, assumed that you knew it, and there was no lower bracket of that class. It was all the same for everyone. So they just assumed that everyone knew it, and everyone in my remedial language class was just fucked over.
That's terrible. And then you came to the good school.
Yeah. Essentially what I had to do in that class is I just left on every test with anything in Hebrew or in the other language. I just left it blank. I just said I can't do this. I don't
Another thing
understand.
is how you teach language, where they say in the first day from now on we're not going to speak the other language in this class, which I see the merit of, but it's impossible because if you just start speaking Spanish the rest of the semester and criticize people for speaking English, no one's going to learn.
Yeah, the idea is that you transition to it.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is you want people to, in the class, to be able to pose questions or say things in the other language using as little.
This happened mainly with Spanish for me. Many people could not learn and could not wouldn't get it simply because they couldn't ask questions because they try to ask a question but they'd be yelled at.
That's dumb.
Yeah, and then I still remember I got to retake it. I got a 10% on my first Spanish test because this was 2 weeks in, and the entire test was in Spanish. Every question, every answer. I literally just circled random answers and left every answer we had to write out long form answers blank. So that's literally because I did not know almost a single word on that test.
The struggle of foreign language tests when you don't know what the question is asking. So you just, but you
it's
know
not
how
you don't know the answer. It's that you can't even read the question.
Yeah.
and then literally, I was like, well, and I got a 10%. And she's like, I've never seen this. So I'm like, she's like, I've never seen someone do this bad on this test. She's like, I'm gonna let you retake it. And I ended up getting a 70 because I literally spent as much time as I would spend in school after school teaching myself that language.
That's so stupid.
Yep. I ended up getting a C in the first semester and a B in the second semester, but then I never took another language again.
And in the context, you just got into the school, and
it was 2 weeks in.
You did not you were never taught this language before.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they can assume you know it.
I think it was another situation where they expected you to have taken middle school Spanish,
but you didn't. Yeah,
and there's no other alternative.
Mm-hmm. I'll be back. I'm just going to talk more about my shitty geeking class. So, I pretty much was always behind on this language, and going into high school, I had like a prospectively great class. We were actually learning things, and then I believe my teacher got fired halfway through the year, and they replaced her with some horrible, like worst teacher I've ever had in my entire life. And from that point on, I learned nothing that year. The next year, they put me even lower into like super ultra remedial Hebrew for people who did not speak this language at all. And it was essentially like the Zack and Josh class. None of us learned anything at all, and I had to leave the school because I did not know the language. It was a shit show. It was horrible. I still don't really understand how that happened. I wish I learned this language because I'd like to know another language, but I just got fucked over. Also, you had to ask to go to the bathroom in Hebrew, so that's the only phrase I really know. Amir Salalaka L'Shiratin. Not really.
I got a salted caramel bundt cake. No, I didn't, because this is
a
video. I'm quoting the Rocco video where the guy comes back with like this fancy dessert, and he's like, I got this salted caramel bundt cake. He's like, oh shit, you gotta try it. And it's just them like trying desserts for like a minute and a half while Rocco has like heavy makeup on in the middle of his face.
It's cakes with a Z, right?
I think so. So what's more embarrassing, Rocco with heavy makeup on his face and like with like a thick rings, like gar rings around his eyes, and like a sweet potatoes, or me wearing work clothes in the sweet potatoes. I think Rocco is kind of that kind of person that just doesn't give a fuck.
You can't eat ice cream in formal clothes. This ice cream isn't wearing formal clothes. This hot dog's not wearing a tuxedo.
This is really good. Anyway,
this shows a work of genius, and I'm glad that Zack and Josh has came up multiple times on this podcast.
Zack and Josh, I would consider it a 10 out of 10 show.
It's wonderful.
It never got bad. They ended it before it could get bad. Which is what every show should do.
I think every single episode of that show is good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can't name a bad episode if I wanted to.
I would say it gets better as it goes along.
It does.
But it also starts off great.
Yeah. And it just gets better and better.
I love the progression. I saw this like post online where it's like the progression of Zack and Josh. Season 1, Drake helps Josh get a girl. Season 4, Drake and Josh have to rescue a monkey from a chimpanzee. I think it was an orangutan.
It's an
orangutan from a man who eats orangutan. That's the progression of the show, and it's so good.
It's such a great show. I love Drake and Josh. It's genius.
I love it. And then I literally had the teacher from Zack and Josh in this paper.
I hate you, Josh. But it was the opposite. She loved you, right? Oh no, she hated Drake. But in your situation, she hated you, right?
She hated me, but then she all of a sudden, like halfway through the semester, gained this like fascination with helping me get better in her class, and like helped me out with a ton of stuff and everything. But like she like almost shifted halfway through the semester from like me being in the position of Drake to me being in the position of Josh.
Yeah, I might be remembering this wrong, but wasn't Mrs. Aver actually like a good teacher, and she just didn't like Drake because he didn't do anything in her class? He just didn't care.
No, I remember this one scene. This is the biggest misfavorite scene I remember, where this wasn't. This didn't have. I don't think this was with Drake and Josh. It was like a different student. No, it was Drake, I think. And she's like, what was the name of this author? And then Drake answers, and she's like, wrong. And then she calls on someone else. That person immediately answers the same answer. She's like, correct, very good.
Yeah, it was like the one thing Drake knew, right?
Yeah. That was so good. I was thinking such a good scene.
I love that show. It's so perfect in regards to school and everything. And literally everything it ever talked about.
What are the best high school pieces of media? Or school pieces of media?
School pieces of media. Edgy Classified.
Edgy Classified. Well, Drake and Josh won't really count because that's mostly home stuff.
When Drake and Josh talks about school, it's accurate. iCarly, when it talks about school, it's pretty much the same show. It's accurate.
I think Drake and Josh is a little bit better, though.
Yeah, Ned's Declassified.
Not accurate. It's over-exaggerated. It's things that you know, but they're taken to the most over-exaggerated extreme.
That's exactly what the show is. It's just exaggerated middle school, like through the eyes of a middle schooler, right? Mm-hmm. You think all this like crazy stuff is happening?
It's probably it's not literal.
It's not literal.
Great show. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get one.
It's just everything taken to its logical extreme. I think that show's like super accurate in terms of in terms of the things it has to say about school. It's accurate, and its actual depiction, it's far from it. I'm trying to think of other shows that portray school in an interesting way, because a lot of the time, like, portrayal of school is really good, right? It's showing us like a really nice thing.
Every anime ever, no one doesn't like school.
Oh, you just got something on your shirt. I actually would like to recommend a song, which is don't just like dab oh yeah, dab it. There you go. No, stop. Not that dab. So I'd like to recommend the song Lost Ones Weeping.
Is it in English?
No, it's a Japanese song. It's by the same person who did Datsugoku and Law Evading Rock and Dappo Rock. Yeah, it's by the same person, and it's just about it's about how school like strips you of your creativity, right? So I wish we watched that video before this podcast, because I'd like to talk about how accurately it portrays
how you could get
the
bad
bad
grades in art class and you did just as much work as everyone else.
Yeah.
I didn't really participate in 5th grade art. You remember what happened with that? Where
oh my
she
god,
just hated me. So she'd literally just tell me to stand in front of the beginning. How I walk in, she's like, "You know where you have to go." So it's and it's like madness.
What the fuck?
Madness. She just made me stand in the corner while everyone else did the art projects. And
this actually happened.
In the beginning, she would give me zeros on art projects that she wouldn't let me work on. And then towards the end, she just stopped rating everyone's art projects altogether.
I did not understand why this teacher hated you so much. Like you're a good kid.
I was a good student. I was an annoying kid, but I didn't do that. I wasn't annoying to teachers. I was annoying to other students.
You were a good kid. The thing is, she was like, she wanted to be like a middle school student, I think. Right? It was in the upstairs art room, right? Yeah. So she like wanted to be a middle school student. So she because like all the popular kids didn't like Josh. So she's like, oh, I gotta impress these 12-year-olds, right? So she's like, just go in the corner, hon. Alright, look, I did it, kids. Look how cool I am. Look how cool of a teacher I am.
I never thought about it that way, and I think you're probably right. There's no other logical explanation.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Like, she
you weren't in the class, so you only knew it from...
Huh?
And the thing is, though, like, I remember other people...
Was I not?
You were not in the class.
I swear I saw it happen at some point.
It wasn't just me. Like, other people told you about it, too.
Yeah. No, I believe you. I believe this happened.
People talked about how I couldn't do any of the art assignments, and then, like, the one I did, it disappeared.
Oh, in high school, someone stole one of my art projects. And I'm like, I don't remember exactly what I said because I've like repressed this memory because of what happened next. I said something along the lines of like, I was like, I'm so fucking pissed. I'm just gonna steal someone else's. And the teacher went off on me. She called me like the son of the devil and kicked me out of class. This was the first day of high school.
The son of the devil.
This is not the first day. This is like the first month of high school. She's like, you are the son of the devil. Get the fuck out of my class. And I'm like, like I did not. This was supposed to be like a joke to my friend. Where I'm so fucking pissed. I'm just gonna steal someone else's. And
did you say you didn't do it?
What?
Did you do it?
Did I do what?
Did you steal the art project? Or
No, I didn't steal the art project. Someone stole mine, and I'm just gonna steal someone else's now.
It's so funny to me. Huh? Oh god. Oh my god. I have like little tears. Zach being called the son of the devil
and being kicked out of class, and I was like, I was bawling. I didn't know what to do. This was like my first month of high school, and I got kicked out of class.
Okay, if I were that age, like that grade age, I would probably be bawling too. But like, if it were me now, I'd be like, find it hilarious. I'd be like, oh, okay, goodbye.
I'd be like, fuck you, old hag, get out of here.
And then I'm just like,
if I'm the son of the devil, you're a fucking.
If I'm handsome devil, are you son of devil? Are you my like son?
Yes.
Son of devil.
Anyway,
it's not son of the devil anymore. It's son of devil.
Anyway, that's how I met my my school's guidance counselor. She found me in the hallway, like dying, and it was very nice. And
did she give you coffee and then try to choke you?
Yeah, that happened. That's why I like Black Rock Shooter so much. Is because I got choked by my guidance counselor.
What was the whole deal with that? Wasn't she actually the friend of the other person or something?
She was the other one in the black. Well, wait, you shouldn't say it. Spoilers.
Don't watch.
But it's only 8 episodes, so whatever. Just go watch it.
You know what? Honestly, because like I think it's a bad show, but because of how short it is, just watch it anyway and form your own opinion.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's a little unstructured.
I think it has.
I think the stuff it has to say.
I think nice. It starts off very well and then just collapses. It just doesn't. It can't. It's almost like you have like a really good bridge, and you just keep on putting weight on it until it snaps and breaks, and then there's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's weird. Stuff goes like unresolved, but yeah, it's a weird show. I liked it.
You should watch it.
You form your own opinion.
It's so short.
It had a good comment on school, I think, where it's like in the long term, school's really not important. It's pretty much the same thing as Monaco, where it's like these kids are doing much bigger things than school, and they're still bound to this like middle school thing where they sit there and they go, like, I cannot fit in with this because I am like part of the actual world.
And there's also the issue when you're in like middle school, you think the problems are having in middle school because you don't have the mentality yet. If myself back then, like if I was how mature I am now back in middle school, I wouldn't give a shit about anything that was happening. I'd be like, oh, fuck you, and just keep like. It's just a thing because you're not mentally mature enough yet.
Yeah.
And you're put in a situation where you can only pretty much survive if you're mentally mature. And that's what middle school is. It's literally just it's like
yeah, exactly.
You go in there thinking everything there is the most important thing in the world because of all the hormones and all the shit that's going on right now.
We're live
in your life.
Yeah.
In your life. So you go in there and you're freaking out and crying all the time and stuff like that because of how bad middle school is. When if you were as mentally mature as you are now, you just go in and be like,
it's this weird little catch-22 where it's like you need to be mature to deal with this, but you learn maturity by dealing with it. So I think that's just kind of like dealing with the middle school stuff is something that has to happen. Like.
I learned maturity. Like I learned like dealing with stuff when I went to the college side.
Yeah.
Because I realized none of that matters. Like none of this trivial shit matters.
Essentially, this stuff has to happen. But the thing that school can do is instead of making it much worse like it does now, it can make it better by doing the college thing, like that you're talking about, by just like facilitating this ability to grow as a person.
And I'd say my one other thing about this is that if school did anything right, it taught me not how to pick up women, but how to deal with being rejected by women. Because it's, in the beginning it was devastating. You couldn't like sleep and stuff. Now it's just like, it's so, you just realize 50% of the world's population are females. It's one person that you kind of like, because I'm not interested in you.
Yeah.
It's just like, it literally affects me none now. And that's the thing that school taught me. Like, I could say that's something that school taught me, that you don't need to worry about that, because I would be devastated at first, and then I realized nothing else around me was effective at all.
I realized a couple things in like school about romance, where it's like, yeah, it's like you think that this one person is like the person, it's like a girl, and but it just turns out you're in middle school, and it's.
I love when you like think back. You're like, I could have never handled that person.
Yeah.
You ever like think back, like I could have never handled that person. That person was like in the popular
like every
crowd.
single
They were
person.
they were like a couple of feet taller than me. In the popular, I would say a couple of feet. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and then the popular crowd, like I could have handled them if they did say yes out of a pure sympathy. I feel like I'm like George.
I'm 5'4", I'm unemployed, and I live with my parents.
Yeah.
My name's Zach. My name's also Josh, because it's the same. Well, I guess you're sort of employed. I don't get paid.
I am.
Anyway.
I'm technically volunteering.
Yeah, you are.
I got.
Anyway, like, yeah, that's not really relevant to the school podcast, but I learned that this person that you think is, it's possible, but it's, if it doesn't work out, then there's always someone else.
When you're in middle school, you also don't understand the full extent of attraction. When you're in middle school and you first hit puberty, you're like, oh, literally, if someone is hot to you, that's it. There's nothing else you need to think about, no other factors, and that's it. And then
it took me a little while to differentiate between love and lust, which are two very different feelings. I also found out how much I don't care about romance at all.
Oh, well, see.
I found out that not everyone was faking it. Like, other people actually felt something. And I'm like,
what do you mean?
Okay, huh? I thought everyone was just faking it.
No, like, for me, exactly. I've learned that what I've learned over time, and is that for me it's almost the opposite of what you say. To me, it's actually being like kind of the person having a good relationship with them overlooks to me. If I grow to like someone, even if they're aren't attracted to me, I'll probably eventually become attracted to them.
That's true. That does happen in real life a lot.
And that's how I look at things now. I don't actively seek out women anymore. I just say I will find a woman when it's the right situation. You know when it's the right situation.
Yeah.
Like the last instance, I knew it was the right situation. I'm not going to tell it into any more detail, but it turns out it was a big mistake. But the introduction was the right situation.
Yeah, I really wish that would have worked out. And by that, I don't mean I wish the relationship would have worked out. I wish the person would have worked out.
Yeah.
As much as I do,
exactly. That's
them
my
and consider
exact
them as a
mentality.
friend.
I'm like, I do not regret ending. Like, I don't regret the ending of it, but I do. Like, I'm almost like upset. Oh, I could. Like, if that person was a little bit more of a decent human being.
They're a decent human being.
They're a decent human being. They're just kind of insane. Yeah, a little bit.
Shout out if you're watching. If you're listening to this,
you don't know.
You're not.
Anyway,
but that's not to say I don't think they are. I don't consider them a friend, because I do consider them a friend.
I do consider them a friend too.
I would not.
Yeah.
Ever.
And then there's the issue. I remember the school girlfriend. She was obsessed with me, and then she's insane. Like, just thinking back, she is.
Have you seen her recently?
I hadn't seen her since 7th grade, and she wasn't there in 8th grade. No one knows what happened to her.
Really?
But I've never seen her again, never heard from her again. She doesn't have a Facebook, nothing. I don't remember her last name.
Oh, okay.
But Alberto does, and that was an interesting whirlwind. I don't think her being like in love with me wasn't genuine, but I think she eventually, once she got what she wanted, it's almost like her mind flipped, and it's like, okay, now that I have what I want, I don't want someone I'm in love with as a boyfriend anymore. I want a servant.
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the best day of pre-college is figuring out I didn't need to like someone, and I was just like,
when I figured out I didn't need to I didn't need to be after a good woman to be happy. That's when I think that's one of the first turning points for me finally becoming happy.
Yeah.
And there's like stages, and that's one of them. And it actually took. No offense, Alberto, we're not dissing you at all. This is like something completely normal. We're talking about it. If you're listening stubborn. It took Alberto a lot longer, until the point it was probably last year that he got over it.
And now I think he's in a great place.
Yeah, he's in a great place now. Like, it took him a while, but I helped him through it. A lot of people helped him through it. But see, like, once you realize that, I realized it before him, but it doesn't matter when you realize it. You're going to realize it eventually. And it's just, you become a lot better. Happy.
Yeah, it's weird when you see someone in that place and you can't really do anything, but you just gotta be like...
Because they won't listen to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing you can do about it. But, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about at school? Or how school needs to change or anything? I feel like we're missing
Clicks?
Clicks? I never really had a... Well, do you mean like types of people, or just mean cliques?
The thing is, I don't think anyone actually thinks cliques exist. Like whenever I was in middle school, I was like, oh, we're not in a clique, but yeah, we were. We were in a friend group that was like didn't interact with like the other ones, right?
Name that needs to die. Friend groups. You can have a group of friends that hang out together, and that is different than a friend group. And I will explain that later.
Are you sure?
Yes.
What's the difference?
From friends? I'll explain it.
Thank you.
So, a group of friends. I would say me, you, and Alberto, and it's like all the people that like me and Alberto are what I'd consider a loose group of friends, because the other people in the group differentiate from whatever the time it is. Like
But no, I feel like we have a friend group, and it's like everyone has this relationship to other people, and we're all like friends with each other, but we're all not exactly friends with like each individual person. Mm-hmm. But like, and depending on things, like some people, we have
probably the most open friend group I'd say I've ever been in, where like anyone can be circulate in and out depending on what situation we're in, and it just works perfectly.
And we've added and lost people all the time.
Yeah, it's the most functional friend group, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't say we're functional.
You get what I mean.
We're near functional.
And I'm not going to use any names. I'm not going to use any time periods, so no one can ever think it's you, or if you're listening to this or anything.
They're going to think it's you. You're so vain. You think this podcast is about you. That's a song.
But this is about no one in particular. I'm telling a story. I'm leaving out so many details that you would not be able to figure out. I have another friend. I was part of a friend group that I would consider. I'd say, well, we're like the other type of friend group, the dysfunctional, horrible type of friend group, where you get a certain group together, you do everything together, you feel pressured to do things because this is what the group wants to do. You're forced into doing things, even if you don't want to do them against your will, because you feel like this is what the group wants to do. You abandon opportunities because this is not what the group wants, and you also are restricted from spending time with or hanging out with people outside of the group. And see, I gave no details about who this is. I didn't say anything. And once I realized that this is bullshit, and I needs to stop, it was too late, because I had alienated myself, and I still.
And you had no one else to go to.
Yeah. So I got myself in a situation where everything was too interconnected for me to leave, and I had a miserable couple months because of it, and
that's like the thing. Like, so obviously I blame myself for this in part because I didn't think while it was happening anything was wrong. And I feel like that's partly my fault because I should have realized, I should have saw signs. I should have been like, okay, this is dysfunctional, okay, this shouldn't be happening. But that's why I say I feel like our friend group now is perfect.
I feel like the benefit of friend groups is that, like, you make friends with one or two people and you are immediately friends with everyone. Mm-hmm. Like, if we make friends with someone, we can bring them into our group and they are like immediately like acquaintances with everyone.
I'd say our absolute immediate, like the core of the group that everything stems off from is me, you, and Albert.
Like,
I'd say is that
there's like fractals or like parts where it can break off into, which it's like probably me, you, Alberto, and Juliet, and it's like
and then it just
because none of us like involve Juliet. I think we're just friends, but like Alberto involves Sam and Juliet involves Taylor, and
I remember the exact chain. I was friends with Alberto. Alberto was friends with Taylor. I became friends with Taylor. Taylor was friends with Juliet, so I became friends with Juliet. Like that's literally how it happened. And that's how it works. And that's the perfect friend group where you have literally you could probably track a web of a couple of tens of people into this web, even if you don't see a lot of them anymore. And that's the perfect friend group because it's like a web of a bunch of people you know, and there's a core, but then it spreads out from there. That's the perfect friend group. When there's just a couple of people in no web in an enclosed thing.
That's a clique.
That's what I succumbed to.
I think I spent the same period of my life with like no friends, where it was like I didn't really know anyone, and I wasn't very sad. I wasn't miserable like you, but I like didn't know anyone. And at the same time, where you figured out you didn't need to you didn't need to be a part of this, I found out like I can be a part of something, probably at the same time.
Yeah, because for me, what the situation is like I said, once I realized that I didn't need to do this and I wanted to get out, it was too late. And I finally, I did break free of that eventually, but and the thing is, don't feel pressured. Don't feel pressured to only do with people. That's my lesson for you. And this goes to school and beyond. Don't feel pressured to only do things with certain people and do what they want to do if you don't feel comfortable doing it or don't feel like doing it.
Don't get involved in a clique unless you really want to be. If you really want to
see the signs beforehand.
If you really want to be involved in that, go ahead.
If you really want to, go ahead. But there's a good chance that you will eventually regret it. But if you're having fun now, why not?
I agree.
Just know it's one of those things that you might regret later. That's what I learned. And and that goes, and that especially stems into school, because at school, I'd say in elementary, the best friend system to have in elementary, middle, and what the current format of high school is one or two really close friends, and then a good relationship with a lot of people.
That was, I feel like my previous school friend group is great, but it's got a lot more people in it, I think, and a lot more spread out. We have, I don't know, I can't really explain it without music.
Are you talking about
I'll explain it after.
Okay.
Alright, well, thank you.
I think that's pretty much it. That's the wrap up. The way current school works is mean it needs to die, and we talked about how we would fix it. I think this was a good podcast. And,
thanks for listening. Are we live?
Thanks for listening. Yeah, we're live, but we're not going to be in a minute, so, good night.